Hey, we're going to get started. Welcome, everybody. It's so good to see so many of you here. We are thrilled to have you join us for our first ever leadership speaker series. And I'm just going to lay out the format really quickly. We will have, this is a 30-minute program. We'll have 20 minutes from our speaker. Amazing Erika Mahterian is here to share her wisdom with us. And then we'll have a 10-minute Q&A. So if you have any questions during this presentation, please add it to the chat. And at the end of the 30 minutes, we will go through some of these questions. And then at the end, you can also unmute yourself and ask questions as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Erika. She is a young girl boss. We're so thrilled to have her. A little bit about what she's done. She graduated from BYU. While at BYU, she started a nonprofit called Alpha with a co-founder for underprivileged students to be mentored and have opportunity to get scholarship, which is so impressive. And 6 years later, it's still going and helping students at BYU. She graduated from BYU and went to Ernst & Young Consulting, which is a really, really great job. While there, she also created a clothing line called Mom Come Pick Me Up. And it was mostly an online company and recently was taken into Nordstrom stores. So if you walk into Nordstrom, let's go look for her stuff. That's awesome, and we can support her. And then most recently, she has co-founded Leland. It's a company that helps connect individuals with careers and admissions coaches to get people into the colleges they want and into the careers they want. And Erika, if you want to add anything else, we're just so thrilled to have you, and we'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you for the kind introduction. Nothing I would add, just that I am just like all of you. So I know that when you get an introduction, they make you sound really important and cool. And I wish I could be all those things, but I am just thrilled to be here with this bunch of all of you sharp and bright and beautiful individuals. And thank you to Jane and Kristen and Emily for the opportunity to be here tonight. I am a huge fan of what all of you are working on, and I think the ambassador program is just incredible. I myself wanted to sign up to be ambassador. I don't know if that's possible because I'm no longer in high school, but if it is, I'm here for it, and I hope to be involved moving forward as much as I can. So first, I want to say thank you to all of you amazing individuals, and it's a true honor to be here today. I made a slideshow. It is very small and short and rough, so I'm happy to share that unless all of you feel like it's better to just chat. I'll get started with it, and then if we're, chatting and it makes more sense to put it away, then let's do that. But for now, I'll use it just as a way to kind of center myself. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
This is very awkward. I didn't realize.
I can't see it. Wait, I can't see it.
You can't?
No.
I can see it.
Everybody else can see it, but yeah.
I
just leave her in the dust. She'll be all right.
Let me know. I'm gonna share it again.
Okay, wait. It's loading. Wait, I still can't see it.
Shoot.
Oh, wait, there it is. Never mind.
Okay, cool. Well, I will get started, and it is kind of awkward with Google Meet that I can't see all of your faces. So I imagine I'll stop sharing kind of soon because I rather be able to see you in chat. But to get started, what I thought about today that I wanted to chat with all of you about is how to get involved and how to make it count. I am very passionate about being involved in the community, in initiatives, in things that matter, and I'm excited to share some of my key learnings with all of you today. First of all, as Jane mentioned, my name is Erika. I'm so happy to be here. It is a true pleasure. She did mention a couple of my things that I've done in the past, but just to reiterate, I went to BYU. I graduated in 2017 with a degree in finance, big finance program advocate. So if anyone's interested in learning more about it, please call me, text me, anything. I will probably chat your ear off about why every person and woman specifically should study finance. I did co-found Alpha, as Jane mentioned, a nonprofit to help underprivileged students get into college and stay in college. And it has been an amazing experience 6 years later to see it grow. Our scholarship fund has grown over the years as well. So this year, I think we have over 20 students that we sponsor who are all first generation coming from low income communities. And it's been great to get to know them and work closely with them. They come from Washington, D.C., Boston, New York, and then they're in schools across all of those areas, as well as Idaho and Utah. I did start my career at EY. I was a consultant in their organizational consulting group, so helping organizations with many different problems that they're facing: hiring, firing, workplace of the future projects, culture projects, transformations of businesses, helping companies design employee engagement strategies, things like that. So everything that involves people and making work an optimal place to be. I was also really involved in different initiatives at EY, like recruiting, and I also built a sales program there, helping junior employees, so first year, second years, learn how to sell consulting work. So that was really fun. I was able to train people across the US on how to work with partners at the firm to engage with clients and all of that. I did start Mom Can Pick Me Up, which is an e-commerce brand. Jane also mentioned was picked up by Nordstrom recently. It was a side project turned career, and actually shortly after doing it full time for a few months, I decided to leave it behind and work on another startup, which is Leland, helping people get into college, which I am most passionate about because I really do think my calling in life is to help people reach their potential. And I feel like through Leland and other community initiatives, I can do that. So that's just a high level overview of who I am. And now we can dive into the content of the meeting. Again, it is very awkward that I can't see anyone's face. So I hope you're not bored, and flag if you have any questions, just shout at me. So as I was thinking, going back to our original topic of conversation, which is how to get involved and make it count, I thought about my own journey being in high school, college, and now as a young professional. I'm only 3.5, almost 4 years into my career. So very new to all this and still learning to navigate things. But I wanted to create like a formula, thinking about, okay, how can I like communicate getting the importance of getting involved and making it really genuine and impactful in your life. And I put together 3 thoughts that I had, and then I added a 4th actually right before this presentation because it was a little bonus that I thought of. But the first is knowing yourself. This framework is something I use with clients when I help them with their college apps. Also, really applicable to coming up with career paths and helping clients get into their dream jobs. But most importantly, I think in high school, and just like as you're beginning this journey, is to think about who you are as an individual. And obviously that is ever changing. I still don't know who I am. There's a lot I need to figure out personally. And I think that's obviously going to be a lifelong journey. But thinking about getting involved and, creating a resume that stands out on a college app, but even more important, creating a genuine and exciting life for yourself, I think is really understanding some core questions. So when I coach people with their college apps, the first thing I say is, what matters to you? Again? We good? Okay, so knowing yourself, what matters to you? What are you passionate about? What causes do you care about? What are your life admonitions? I think something I forgot to write here too would be, what are your skills? What are you good at? And I think I start with this because I think it's important to understand when we're getting involved and we're choosing like the initiatives we want to be part of, and we're thinking about crafting a competitive college application, but even more important, like living a strong and exciting life, is just getting to the root of what drives us and what we care about. So I'll give everyone 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I would love everyone to write down what matters to you. It can be
in the comments or what?
You can even just write it down for yourself. If you want to drop it in the chat, that's totally fine. But just a moment of reflection to think about I, comma, and then fill in your name, I care about, or what matters most to me. And I'll give you 30 seconds to think about that. I'm also going to stop sharing my screen because I can't see any of you, and it's way more comfortable to look and interact. So yeah, take 30 seconds and think about what matters to you. Sydney, nothing matters to you? That is so sad. I hope we're joking. Cool. Now that we've done that, I want everyone to write in the chat something they're great at. This is a moment to brag. Wow, I love some of these answers. This is awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for writing your answers there. Next, I want to talk about, so why knowing yourself is important. I think it's important because when we're choosing what to get involved in, we want to think about what feels genuine and authentic to ourselves and really plays to our strengths and what we care about. I think it's easy when we're in high school to think like, I have to be like everyone else, right? Like I fell into this, right? I thought I needed to be an athlete. I'm horrible at sports, but I did it because everyone around me was participating in different campus sports. And I quickly learned that I was not going to be the star water polo player. I did water polo. It was great. It was fun. I made good friendships, but I realized it wasn't really playing to my strengths. And that's when I decided to get involved with student council, which I think I fit in way better. I loved planning, organizing, all the above. So I think step number one is knowing yourself and what matters. And also, realizing that not everyone's path is going to be the same. Next up on my list was see it and do it. So as we're thinking about reflecting, first we can take a moment to think about what our priorities are, what we care about, if there are causes, if there are strengths we want to play into, and then next is taking action. The reason I say see it and do it is because I think so often we get caught up in thinking about having to be an expert or having to have a certain socioeconomic status to move forward with something, or having to be a certain person to be taken seriously in a certain space. I was telling Jane earlier with Alpha, when we started Alpha, that was probably the quickest thing I've ever done. We saw a need in the community. It was shocking to me that 5 minutes away from BYU, there were people struggling. There were people who were getting really low test scores because they couldn't afford ACT tutoring. So I got together with a group of friends and we made Alpha happen. We made a nonprofit. We got professors involved. We called everyone we knew and their friends and figured out, how do we put this together? And we were young. I mean, I was 22 at the time. So it was it was a world I wasn't aware of. But I think the reason that it worked was because we saw the need and we worked and we made it happen. We didn't sit there and overly ruminate of everything that could be better or skills we didn't have to make it happen. And I feel the same way when I started Mom Come Pick Me Up. It was very much I had this idea, I put this phrase on sweatshirts, and I just went for it. And I think that we can all kind of think about things in our own life that we want to be doing, or things we're passionate about, or things we want to get involved in. And I think my number one advice in this space would be to just go do it. You don't need to be an expert at everything. You just need to pick the things you're passionate about. And as the cool kids say these days, send it, go after it. And I think that will help you create not only, as we've talked about, like a resume you're proud of, but again, put you into places and spaces that you care about and that feel very authentic to what you want to be doing in this life. So that's number 2, which is see it and do it. Take action. Next up would be passion leads to opportunity. I think when we care about things, we make them happen and opportunities come from that. I think with college apps, for example, and I don't want to speak too much about college apps because I don't want it to feel like everything we're doing is to look a certain way on paper. But I do think when we're intentional about the activities we're doing, the clubs we're starting, the clubs we're participating in, each of you being here today as an ambassador, you're obviously very intentional about community and service, all of that. I think that's when we see great things happen. I speak to this because when we're doing things we're passionate about, we then have really great things to write about on our college applications. We have amazing stories to tell. We gain incredible experience for future career opportunities or future initiatives we want to participate in. And so really honing into the areas and fields you're passionate about will then get you to where you want to be. I am so passionate about creating opportunities for ourselves. And I think at the end of the day, like, we will have people who put their foot forward for us. We will have people that advocate for us. But at the end of the day, the people who make things happen for our lives are us. And if we can figure out what matters to us, if we can make things happen by taking action, all of that passion will then lead to opportunities and really exciting milestones and in situations in our own life. Finally, I think my 4th recipe for getting involved and making it count is being a builder. This was a bonus I thought about because I think so much of I don't know how many of you are familiar with LDS Mission, so I don't want to speak too much about that space, but I often think about when I came home from my LDS Mission and I was so stressed because I'm like, wow, the world is my oyster. I went from serving people every day to now having to worry about myself and my career and picking a major and getting into my dream program. And it felt very selfish. It made me panic because I did not like the feeling of having to think about myself so much. And I think that's why this 4th one of being a builder is so important to me, because the minute I switched the narrative from what do I need to be doing and what do I want from my life, and I focused on building others up in the process, I realized what truly matters. And I also was able to make amazing things happen for myself simultaneously. And so I think as you're all crafting your own personal narratives, as you're thinking about spaces and clubs and organizations and fields you're passionate about, putting yourself in a place where you're lifting others up around you and being a genuine contributor to society is going to help as well. Obviously, college apps are going to ask about service and leadership, but even more than all of that, and at the end, like going to bed peacefully at night, I think the most important thing we can do is lift others up. And so those are kind of my 4 pieces of advice as I think about all of you who are in high school, thinking about college, thinking about career paths, are just 1, being aware of what matters to you. So being truly aware of yourself and what you care about. 2 is being action oriented. So taking that step forward, even when it is scary, and thinking about what you want to do and making it happen, because at the end, at the end of the day, only you can make it happen. Number 3 is being passionate about things that then will create opportunity in your life. And then 4, being a builder and someone that lifts up communities and people and everyone around you. Because at the end of the day, I think through all of those things, we can make things happen and we can also reach our goals. But more importantly, we can create really meaningful and happy lives. And I hope this has been helpful, but I think more important than my message is being able to answer any of your questions. So let's move it over to you all. I am probably the biggest open book you'll ever meet. Sometimes my sister tells me that I am too open, but I will censor myself as much as I can. But I say that because I want to be able to answer any questions that come to you. So feel free to lay them on me. Nothing is too hard or too awkward to talk about. So here I am.
I think at this point, maybe we can open the chat. And if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to unmute and ask a question. And while you're doing that, I'll just ask Erika. At the end of our discussions, we want to ask each of our speakers and moving forward, what impact has serving your community had on you? And share that with everyone while they're getting brave to think about and ask their questions.
Yeah, I think to that question, there's 2 things that come to mind. One is really great opportunities have come both personally and professionally. I think being involved in the community, I've met amazing people. I've had opportunities to learn from some of the best people in the world. And also, I think it just makes life so much more rich to be involved. I love the quote, "Bloom where you're planted." And I think about that often and truly in every day, in every situation. Like, life can be really hard. We get dealt some really hard cards. I have lots of family problems. I have a failed lung that makes it so I can't move. I barely can walk without having pain in the right side of my body. But the most important thing to me is making the most out of every situation, and blooming and saying, hey, I've been given this situation and how can I bloom and how can I grow and how can I be a flower in tough situations. And I think it comes down to being involved and being part of the community and building really important relationships and just turning outward and helping those in need. Because at the end of the day, like, kind of changing from ourselves to looking at others and what they need, it makes our problems feel a lot smaller, and also just the happiness we feel from being part of something bigger than ourselves makes every hard situation way less painful.
I love that. Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing that. Caroline Kirk, you said you had a question, and then we'll go to the chat unless we have another.
Okay, so you talked about how women and especially like everyone should go into finance, and I'm just finishing up college applications for BYU, and I've been looking up into like entrepreneurship to help like build organizations, help women, especially like being a student ambassador and seeing how, like, you know, really when we uplift women, we uplift the society they belong in.
Melinda Gates, we love her.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted you to talk more about finance because I'm open to anything.
Yeah. So the reason I left the finance program was because, one, I felt like it was challenging for me. I don't think it was the easy route in college. I think the easy route would have been something more in the arts or communications that felt natural to me, played more to my strengths. Whereas finance felt like I was truly pushing myself, which I think we only have college for 4 years unless we decide to do a master's degree. And so I thought, how can I use these 4 years to really push myself and learn something new? Beyond that, I think the qualitative skills matched with the quantitative skills have just made life so much more rich for me. I love that my friends can come up to me and ask me questions that feel very technical, like, okay, I'm thinking about my own personal finance or like my own stock portfolio. And I'm like, wow, I actually know about that. Like, how empowering is it that I can handle my own, like, even though the major isn't focused at all around like personal finances, I think it gave me the language and the skills to be able to navigate a lot of that for myself, which is super empowering, because I think a lot of times, just in general, like it seems like I had a lot of friends who said, oh, I don't need to worry about that. I'll marry someone who can pay the bills, or I'll just deal with these things, and my husband or my significant other can deal with the finances and things like that. And I made a promise to myself to never speak that way, because I want to get to a point where I can be in a partnership and we decide what works for us, and being able to have the skills to make that decision together feels very empowering. And just, I think the exit opportunities of the finance program are awesome. You can truly do anything. Long answer, but I love finance.
Thank you. Okay, there were some questions in the chat. Do you want to?
Yeah, let me see them.
There are some great questions that came in.
How have you been able to push yourself to get to work and not procrastinate what you want to do? I think this goes to what I said earlier, which is blooming where you're planted. I think, so an anecdote, when COVID hit, I was super depressed. I had really bad anxiety. I'm a creature of habit. I need a schedule. And I had my days and weeks and months and years planned out for like a whole year in advance, because I'm type A and I need that sort of structure. And when COVID hit, it is very hard, right, for everyone, because there were so many unknowns. We didn't even know where we were going to be in a year or in a week. Like, I didn't know if I was going to be back in San Francisco because I had flown home to LA. I didn't know what my job was going to look like. And that situation, amidst having health problems that were very high risk with COVID, put me into a really bad state. And I think what I realized in that moment is I have no control over the state of the world. I don't have control over this disease. However, I do have control over what I do during this time. And that led me to take advantage of it. And that's actually when I started Mom Can Pick Me Up. I was at home. I was like, what do I need? I started as a passion project to send to my friends as like a little pick me up during the pandemic. And so I think at the end of the day, it's just thinking like, okay, what do I want to get out of my life? What do I want to get out of this time? And being like, this time and these opportunities are limited, like there's always going to be so much to do. There's always going to be distractions and whatnot, but just sitting down and being like, hey, now is the time, I think has been really motivating for me.
I love that. Thank you. And I think there was another question in there.
Oh, where did I serve my mission? I went to Osorno, Chile. So it's the Patagonia region of Chile. Big fan. Okay, here's another question. Other than being accepted to BYU and attending, were there universities in LA or in California that interest you? I did actually not want to go to BYU, so I applied to a bunch of schools across the US. My number one school that I wanted to go to was Northeastern in Boston, which I got into and I was ready to go to, but plans changed, life changed, and I ended up at BYU, which I could not be more excited about. It was the best experience of my life, and I feel like I attribute, many of the amazing things that have happened to going there. One of which is meeting all of you.
Awesome. Are there any more questions before we wrap up? This has been a great discussion and we have so many takeaways. Does anyone have anything else they want to ask?
Can I ask something?
Yes. Hi, Anna.
Hi. So I was just wondering, how did you kick off your companies and things that you were doing? Because when you decided you wanted to start a clothing brand or a nonprofit, where did you go or even start that?
Yeah. So nonprofit, I'll start there just because that was my first experience starting something. I just took advantage of resources that were at BYU. I went to a lot of the many universities, not unique to BYU, will have nonprofit centers or business centers, entrepreneurship centers. And so I was like, great, I'm so happy I'm starting this when I'm literally have resources at my fingertips. So I went into the entrepreneurship center as well as the social venture center. I also called a bunch of people I knew who had nonprofit experience, and I just like leveraged all the people in my life who could be helpful, as well as professors. When I started Mom Come Pick Me Up, it was a similar thing where I just like texted a friend. I'm like, hey, I want to print some sweatshirts. I've never done this before. When printing merch, where do you go? And so I think I just started piecing together, learning on the job. Both of those things, like starting a nonprofit and starting a clothing business, could not be farther from what I was doing in school. And so a lot of it came down to teaching myself and also just leveraging resources and individuals around me. So that's another plug. Like, you don't have to be perfectly equipped to start something you're passionate about. There's people and resources all around you that are there to help.
I loved when I spoke with you earlier, and you've mentioned it here. One of your mottos is see it, do it. And I think that we can tell from this last 30 minutes that when you get an idea, you just go. And I think that that's a great trait that you have, and something that we can all learn from you, is that if you have an idea, if you have something you want to do, if you want to get involved, just do it, and put your fears aside, put, the perfect plan or the perfect setup aside, and just start taking the first step. So I think that's great advice. Was there anything else?
So much. I see 2 more questions. You want me to answer them?
Yeah.
So first, will you share more about your business? Do you mean Mom Come Pick Me Up or Leland? I'm happy to talk about either of them. Okay, cool. Mom Come Pick Me Up, just a retail brand I started. Short story, I printed out 7 sweatshirts to gift to my friends during the pandemic, and it randomly took off thanks to Instagram and the internet. So there's not too much to say. All I do is sell sweatshirts and some shirts. And yeah, most recently got picked up by Nordstrom. So just been trying to figure out what to do with it now. I am very busy with the new startup I'm working on, and I feel like it has more of a path forward to making the impact I want in the world. So I think I'm going to be taking a pause on the clothing business, but it was definitely a great learning experience, and truly what I think helped me land a co-founder position at my current company. A lot of what my co-founder and team was wanting was someone who had marketing and operations experience building something from the ground up. And so thanks to my little side hustle, I was able to gain those skills and get into this role that I'm in now.
Awesome. I love that with each thing that you did, you built upon the experience and the skills that you had, and it led to the next opportunity. I'm going to just wrap up with my one of my favorite things from this conversation, and that's instead of doing what I wanted, I switched to how I could build others. And as I lifted others, I built myself at the same time. And I think that's such a great takeaway. Thanks everyone for joining us. And Erika, this has been an amazing time with you. If anyone has questions, is there somewhere they could email you or?
Yes, I just dropped my email in the chat. I'm also going to drop my phone number because you can text me. I am always happy to take on mentoring. Obviously I work for a coaching business, but this is outside of it. I'm happy to mentor a few of you. So if a couple of you want some individual help or mentorship, reach out to me, and I'm happy to take a couple of you under my wing and build a friendship outside of this call. So
wow, take her up on this, you guys. This is amazing. Yeah.
Thanks everyone for being here.
Thanks everyone for being here. We'll see you next month.
Do you want me to answer the last question, Jane?
Sure. And feel free to drop off if you need to. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, the last question says, what do you think is the most important advice you give to the youth today? I feel like I am a youth amongst all of you, so that is a hard question to answer, but I think the most important thing I would say is you're in charge of your life and you make it what you want it to be. So if you have things you want to accomplish, if there are things you care about, which I know there are, go make them happen. Don't wait around for the perfect moment. Don't wait around for the perfect person. Build yourself and do it now. The world is yours, and I can't wait to cheer you on in whatever it is that you do.
Oh, so good. Such great advice.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.